Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. This podcast is part of our continuing outreach efforts, and the format is conversation. We're having conversations with businesses, professionals, entrepreneurs, community agencies, and in all cases, difference makers. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So subscribe today. Take 20 minutes and hear from people living in your community who are making a difference in your community. It's time to get started with Sweet Talk. Hey everyone, this is Jason, Continuing Education Workforce Training, the Assistant Director, and you're with us on Sweet Talk. And Paul, you're with us today on Sweet Talk.
Yes. Always. From now on, I think we're always going to be together again.
Yeah.
No more solo shows. I mean, they go fine, but it's there's no chance of me making fun of you if you're not there, Jason.
Our solo albums kind of just flopped,
Yeah. Well,
and now we realize that we're a better group than we are a solo artist.
I told you, Lennon McCarthy.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to break up the band.
No, let's not break up the band. Hey, so anyway, Paul, we've got a great show today. And I'm really excited for this conversation. But hey, can we do a little plug for us real quick?
Sure.
So we've got 2 episodes out now on our podcasting.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you better do it.
A podcast about podcasting by podcasters.
That's right. We got 2 episodes out on those. And if you've ever want just to take each one, they're about 30-40 minutes long, each of them. Yeah. So they're about a little longer, but they kind of go a step-by-step process about what it took to get a podcast started. And we think they'd be really helpful. And maybe any of you are thinking about getting a podcast started. So we ask you to listen. And this month on the 25th, Paul, so in 2 weeks, we're going to be, 2 weeks from today. I don't know when this episode. See, another thing you should learn is never put dates on a podcast live, because you never know if they're going to be real or not.
Right.
But on the 25th of June, we will be posting our 3rd episode.
Right.
And so that should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, and it's a lot of information in a short span of time, and I do want to encourage anyone who listens to those episodes, if they have any follow-up questions, please reach out to us and engage with us, and we'll be happy to answer those questions if you have any.
That's right. But we have an exciting guest today, and so we're going to use the important word. And our guest today is Lance Clark, and he is the outdoor recreation supervisor for the city of Pocatello. And Lance, welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Excellent. So could you just briefly describe what your position is, Lance? Because I don't know. So I kind of curious what it is that you do.
My position is tenuous at best. So Pocatello Parks and Recreation is divided up into parks and recreation. And then recreation is subdivided into a couple different categories. The main ones most people are concerned about are kind of anything with a pool, anything with a ball, and everything else. And I am everything else. So
you are everything else.
It's not a park, it's not a ball, it's not a pool, then it's me. So I manage things like the City Creek Trail System, the East Main Creek Nordic Center. I do rental equipment for outdoor activities, disc golf, backpacking, climbing, kayaking, rafting, stuff like that. So
that sounds like a lot.
It's really hard, it's just a real grind over here.
Well, I have to thank you, because I have disc golfed and I have hike those trails. So thank you very much.
That's right. So just a little edit note here. Lance wasn't able to get his camera working on his iPhone. And now I know why, Lance, because you're probably sitting somewhere out in one of those floating in a kayak right now, or you're on a high mountain peak somewhere right now, and you just don't want anyone else to know where you're at. I got you. So your secret's safe with us, buddy.
I am on the clock and not in the office. It's true.
All right. So is that part of the advantage of the position, is you get to be outdoors a lot?
Yeah, it's a great job. You're outdoors, whether you want to be or not. So, when the storm rolls in and there's some grooming to do, we know who's going to have to go out in the storm and do it. But on those beautiful days when you need to check and see if the Portneuf has any log jams and somebody has to go kayak it, I'll raise my hand for that job too. So
excellent.
Cool.
And now that's perfect segue. So we were talking before the show started about the Portneuf, and I didn't realize that you can actually use the Portneuf now. Now people who might be listening don't understand, is Portneuf is a river that goes through the city, and previously, you weren't supposed to recreate in it. Lance, could you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I mean the Portneuf, has had kind of a bad reputation, and some of that was earned as not a clean river or not a place to recreate. I grew up in Pocatello, and it was pretty much strictly forbidden that kids my age way back when didn't go in the Portneuf. It didn't smell good, it didn't look good, and it was I was taught it was certain doom, and so you just didn't do it. But the city has taken on responsibility for much of the Portneuf watershed, not just the stuff in town, but the watershed, including many of the tributaries. So many of the Portneuf's problems originate between Lava Hot Springs and Pocatello. It's a classic summer trip to drive up to Lava, and it is pronounced lava if you're from Pocatello.
That is correct. You do have it correctly. Yes. Yes.
So we would drive to Lava to tube the Portneuf, and for some reason that was fine. But when you got into Pocatello, you assumed your skin would melt off. And so obviously there was a problem between Lava and Pocatello, and part of that was Marsh Creek, and part of that was some other contaminants in the area. And the city, working with other agencies and some federal funding, has worked on cleaning up those tributaries that were dumping problem water into the Portneuf, primarily Marsh Creek. So if you drive up Marsh Creek now, there's a ton of jackrail fencing and different things just to keep livestock and contaminants off the river. We've worked with farmers to make sure they're applying their chemicals appropriately.
Right.
We'll say it.
Right.
And so, the Portneuf has improved dramatically. I've been at this job almost 20 years. And one of the first things I did when I got the job was I called DEQ and I was like, can we kayak in the Portneuf and Pocatello? And they were like, technically it meets the standards.
Well, when I first moved here, I never saw anyone kayaking.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's a little wave out in Indian Hills, can I go surf that thing? Or there's a couple little rapids, will my skin melt off, or will my kayak just shrink around my body and entomb me?
That's right. Or will that third eye start growing or whatever?
Yeah, and they're like, we are able to legally tell you can get in the water safely, and it was. So I think it's been better for longer than most people realize, but it has improved all the time. And kind of recreation begets recreation. You see somebody on the river and you're like, oh, I want to go do that. And then somebody sees you, and you kind of, the public knowledge, conventional wisdom about the Portneuf is currently just not correct. And so I'd like to get the word out that the Portneuf is no longer technically safe. It is safe.
I know that's not a good advertisement. Come to the Portneuf. Technically, it's safe.
That doesn't work on
immediately die.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to talk a little bit more about how you're promoting that, but I guess the thing that just kind of jumped out at me is, you said you've been at this position 20 years.
So the city has taken a long-term view on getting this river back to health. This isn't something like sounds like you guys woke up about, 2.5 years ago and said, gee, maybe we should clean up. So this has been a process that's been going on more than just a minute, I'm assuming.
Yeah, this is a super long-term, multi-decade commitment to water quality in Pocatello.
Right on.
Excellent.
And that's encouraging. I just love the foresight on that and the city's ability and obviously all those partners involved to say, wait a minute, we have a responsibility to this natural resource that flows right through.
Well, also, so many people do outdoor activities in the city. You have all the hiking trails and throughout, and giving that as an additional resource to go out and recreate is I think a big boom to the city. Because it's an activity. People, they want to be outside, they want to be active, and this just gives them an additional choice of hey, what do you want to do this weekend? Hey, let's go kayak the Portneuf.
Right. Well, and let's ask that question. So what do people do on the Portneuf?
Yeah. So I really like that you use the word trail. What the funding we're currently expending and seeking, we're calling this the Water Trail Project.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have the City Creek trails, we have running trails, biking trails, ATV trails, Jeep trails, and we just want to consider this a water trail. So we want people to get on the Portneuf in whatever craft floats their boat. Forgive me, I apologize.
What up, Bob?
It's not, I'm sorry, it won't happen again.
Oh no, now you've inspired us. I know.
I'm gonna start writing boat puns.
That's
boat
right.
Puns.
That's right.
Okay.
We're gonna be using steer the ship, deny ICAP, and all that good stuff. So
well, I'll we'll try and steer it in the right direction.
There we go. Yes.
So we're looking at it as a water trail. We want people to go out in paddle boards, kayaks, tubes, small rafts, whatever non-motorized craft people have access to. We want them to have access to a section of river. And so we're building launch and takeout points kind of as frequently as is practical along the Portneuf. So no matter what your choice is, you have an option to go and do that. So stuff that's a little more exciting, stuff that's a little lazier, stuff that's kind of a straight shot. So we started up at Fort Homine Road on some BLM property. And the BLM and the city and Fish and Game worked together to install a launch about 2 miles above Fort Homine Road.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can start out of city limits a ways and float downstream underneath the Fort Homine Road, clear down to Indian Hills. Fish and Game owns some property there called Edson Victor Park, and there's an official launch and takeout there.
Oh.
And then just about a mile down from that at the old Cheyenne Bridge, we've converted that to a parking lot, and there's a launch and takeout there.
Oh, right on.
And then a couple miles downstream at Taysom Park, there's a launch and takeout there. And then just another half mile down at Centennial, there's a major launch and takeout with at least 2 paths up and out of the river.
Wow.
So just in what we'll call the upper Portneuf, you've got a handful of options, and you can choose to do a section short enough to literally walk your tube and do laps, or you can do that stretch could take you an entire day.
Just the upper stretch alone?
Together. Yeah.
Just the upper stretch alone could take an entire day.
Yeah. So if you're going from the BLM launch clear down to Centennial Park, that's a solid 6 to 8 hour day, depending on the flow.
Wow.
So you could throw in an inflatable kayak, which we rent out.
Yes.
And, this is not a high, a high cost or gear intensive activity. You can come to me at the city and book online for an inflatable kayak rental. You don't even need a truck. You can roll it up and put it in your trunk. You can drop a bike at the takeout, drive up to wherever, the BLM property, launch, float back to your bike, pedal your bike back, and you don't have to have a lot of infrastructure to do these.
No.
Nice.
That is just fantastic. That is fantastic. And this is, now you have weekly what do you call information sessions weekly, where people kind of can show up and maybe get a hands-on kind of education on this a little bit?
Yeah, so we're going section by section each week, and we're offering what we're just calling our weekly Portneuf floats. You can sign up for us, and we will meet you at the takeout and take you to a launch site and float with you top to bottom, just so you can get a feel for what that section contains, how long it might take you if you were to return with your family or friends, where to park, what crafts are most appropriate for that section, and how the different flows might affect that section. We're just trying to educate, we'll call them our pioneers, maybe, of the floating community.
Yeah.
So that people can come out and know where to go, and so they can take their friends in the future.
Well, and I guess it's like a pebble in a lake. You start with one person telling them, and hopefully that ripples out to them telling other people that such a thing exists.
Right. And just seeing people on the Portneuf, when you cross, maybe you're down at the sand trap or you're crossing that bridge and you see a couple tubes in the river, you're like, oh, okay, that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Activity will hopefully build activity.
Yeah, and it sounds like a good time for maybe a family get together as well. Tubing down with the family.
So I know this isn't personal storytelling time, but I got to tell you, I grew up in a tiny little town in Wyoming that had a similar kind of scenario where a creek flowed right through town, and it was called Clear Creek. And I remember, when I was too young to get a job, but too old to be anything but a total nuisance to my mother during the summers, she would literally, just like you said, my dad would bring home these giant inner tubes from forklifts, and we'd fill them up, and she would take me and all my friends up, drop us off somewhere up at the top of the river of town, and say, I'll meet you at the bottom bridge at 5 p.m. And if I see you before then, one of you better be dead or hurt. So, and those were great days. Those were great days on the river, because you just spent all day floating in 90-degree heat. So it was a wonderful, this is bringing back memories. I'm going to have to bring my inflatable down and sit on that thing. So.
Yeah, pull it out of the attic, dust it off.
Yeah.
Maybe check the weight capacity, because that's probably changed.
Yeah, then, probably.
Give it a go.
Right. Need the weight capacity change. And then I got to get a separate inner tube just for my cooler, but we got to talk about that on a different podcast. So anyway,
if you do that, it has to be connected via baling twine, the official material of cooler towing.
Yes, that's right. You can only be baling twine. Oh no, but this sounds fantastic. I love it. And are you beginning to see the fruits, so to speak, of your labor? Are you beginning to see more people on the river?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been taking my kids out, last summer in particular, and I don't think we were on the river alone very often. There would always be somebody passing by or taking out, and it has definitely started to pick up momentum. It's great.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, you said that you can actually rent the kayaks or schedule the event. Where would people find out more information? I mean, is this on the city website? And where would they go, or who would they call?
Yeah, we have just a strictly a rental website, rent.pocatello.us, and it's pretty standard. Our equipment is listed on there, and you can just add stuff to your shopping cart. It will tell you the prices, and you can click checkout, and somebody will call you to collect a payment, and then you're booked. And we mostly do contactless pickup. So in that way, we're able to operate over the weekend without having an employee here all the time. We have a series of sheds at our warehouse, and we just lock your stuff in a shed with a combo, and you unlock it, sign the papers, you go out and use it, you return it, and then when we come back, we'll check it in, and you're good to go, and you may never have to meet me.
Well, but that's fantastic. I mean, I just love that idea too, right? Because again, people may not want to go out and buy, I don't understand inflatables are the kind of the least expensive things to do, but, or they may not have a dad who has access to unlimited forklift tires, but If they want to try it out or if they want to experiment or whatever, or as Paul said, bring out a group activity. I mean, this could be just a good fun way to spend a day with a work party, or something like that, is just to all schedule that and then everyone take out and enjoy the river and go with that. Now, can we just get a little safety here? What life vests, are they required? What's the Idaho code for life vests on a body of water?
So if you're 16 or under, you have to wear one. Mm-hmm. If you're 17 or over, you have to have one available.
Okay. And that does even include on inflatable rafts and things like that. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. We automatically include them.
Well, it just makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just our default. Here's your package. It comes with the life jacket. Have a good day.
Right. Right.
We certainly don't have a lot of enforcement in this area, but if you're on moving water, you should be wearing a life vest. Our modern life vests are very comfortable. They're easy. They're adjustable. There's not a good reason not to wear one.
I'm with you 100% on that. Hey, you brought up another comment, and this is just, I'm sorry, man, I'm enjoying this conversation 100%, but I love learning new things. So flows, what kind of flows are we looking at on the Portneuf? Is there a time, are we past the dangerous high water flows, or what are the flows on the Portneuf like?
Yeah, right now they're just under 100 cubic feet per second. So there are several gauging sites. You can Google, Portneuf, Pocatello, USGS. That's the United States Geological Survey. They have a real-time monitoring system at several points on the Portneuf that will tell you the flow 5 minutes ago. It's pretty awesome. So you don't have to drive to the bridge and look at the paint marks, old school style, like, the big rock.
That's great. So what is that? What do the flows go? I guess just a total rookie here, novice. What's a high flow for the Portneuf?
So a lot of water in the Portneuf, we'll say, is 500 to 1,000. That's like, you need to be in a real kayak and have whitewater skills typically. So that's kind of your experts only terrain. When it starts to drop, below 400 and head down, that's when, inflatable kayaks and more casual users are usually out and about. Once you get well below 100, then it starts to get a little thinner. So as you head towards August, there's definitely a little more bump and grind involved. This year we really didn't get too high. There wasn't a time when it was warm enough to go, but there was too much water.
Right. Exactly. Right. If it was getting high, it was still snowing and raining.
there you are. Yeah. Peak flows often in March. And so who cares? Right. So, basically when school's out is typically considered safe.
All right. Oh, shoot. That was the timer. But so again, going back to this just real quick, they can contact you. They can reach out to the website. They can schedule you for these weekly kind of get-togethers to float different portions of the river to learn how it works. They can rent their gear from you. They can find out information on how to flow, or flow heights and safety and all that good stuff. What kind of just parting words do you want to let people know about this Portneuf and the resource and I would almost say the reclaimed gift that is available now?
Yeah, I mean, this is your tax dollars at work. So go take advantage of all the money we have spent on getting the Portneuf back. Like, we've poured a bunch of resources into it. Go do that thing. It's accessible to a lot of skill levels. It's safe. It's fun. Everybody that goes is shocked. Like, I had no idea it was possible. I didn't think it would be that fun. Like, I'm committed. Where can I buy this?
All right.
Cool.
And we only talked about the upper Portneuf so far. So
I know,
we need to book another 20 minutes because we got almost halfway.
That's right. I'll tell you what happened was your host got distracted.
That's fine.
Your host went into story time and asked crazy questions. So
I came into this wanting to hear a story about Clear Creek. So thank you so much.
So Lance, before we let you go, are there other activities that's going on, say in the next month or so, that people should know about?
Oh, we always have classes going on. We have a lot of youth classes like youth rock climbing. We have weekly floats. We'll have on in late June, we do have a specific river safety class that is free, where you can learn about hazards of moving water and how to mitigate and how to identify those. We'll hold that at Centennial Park on the Portneuf. So if this podcast interested you, I would encourage you to go to register.pocatello.us and look at all of our classes in the outdoor division.
And we'll get all those links from you, Lance, and make sure that they're connected to the posting of the website to this as well.
Perfect.
Okay. So Lance, you brought up something else. I guess we're going to have to get you back on the show, because I got about 1,000 other questions, not just for the lower section of the Portneuf, but I want to talk about the bike paths, the hiking paths. I want to talk about the snowshoe, or the snowshoe and the cross country skis in the winter. So we're going to have you back on the show to talk about all these other fun things people can be doing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Plus the next time we want to be able to see your handsome face.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Don't get our hopes up, is what you're saying, Lance.
Yeah. I haven't been single for a while, and I'm glad that mostly ended before pictures became a thing on the internet.
That's right. Thank God they didn't have cell phones when I was a kid.
Yeah,
that's right. Hey, look, Lance, I really appreciate you being on the show. We're going to have you back on, and we'll get everyone. We'll go ahead and post those links in the descriptions of our podcast and on the YouTube video. And thanks again, Lance, for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And don't forget, Jason.
Yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, cetrain.isu.edu, or you can call us at 208-282-3372. I got the phone number. 3 years it takes me to get the phone number right. And we want to hear from you, right? We want to hear from you. We want to know.
Yes.
And if you have any questions or want to reach out to Lance and you want to get a hold of us, we'll help you make that connection, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's been a great show. Thank you so much, Lance. I'm really looking forward to having you back and hearing about the second part. Also, as we go through the summer, more activities.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.